content warning. This episode contains discussion of general violence and swearing. That's it! Big thanks to Danny the Spoon Lord and Janiyah Riley, our Masters in Hushin Analysis recipients on Patreon. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Our intro theme song, Sunbanger, is by @_tittle on Instagram. Our outro theme is by Jojo Funk McLovin, who can be found at funkmclovin.bandcamp.com. Enjoy the episode.
Scanning, Jett Gray.
Scanning, Bradley.
Transfer, Jett Gray.
Transfer, Bradley.
Virtualization.
I'm part of Yumi's personal defense squad.
Hi, I'm a rogue artificial AI who is bent on taking over the world through memes. Welcome to Will It Homestuck, a show where we explore the canon and non-canon ideas of classpecting on different forms of media. I'm Jett Gray. You can find me on YouTube at Jett Gray. I mostly do Kingdom Hearts speedruns and nothing else. You can refer to me as any and all pronouns, because I personally don't care for myself.
Hi, I'm Bradley. I use he, him pronouns, and you can find me on the Will It Homestuck Discord.
This week we are covering the episodes of Code Lyoko. You know, that show from France, with overly large foreheads. Eventually, we'll be covering another show with overly long necks.
Forehead show. That is what it's remembered as. By pretty much everybody you ever tried to tell to watch this show. Oh, you mean the one with the foreheads? Yes, that one.
See, when I first watched it, I just didn't even really consider how big the heads were. That's the thing with animation to me. I never really look at human proportions as an important factor. I more look at characters and story beats on this case.
The stylistic interpretation doesn't really matter all that much so long as you have the good characterization, which is why I like Code Lyoko. But if you haven't seen or heard of Code Lyoko, let us give you a little taste of what it's about. Jett?
October 9th, a boy turns on a supercomputer in an abandoned factory. This would be the first day of his new life, unleashing a rogue artificial intelligence on the world, as well as discovering a lost girl. He will soon find that these discoveries would lead to more than just intrigue, but also to friendship, hardships, and many other things.
After turning on said computer, they find an interesting new world, and they explore it, and within it, they find a rogue and very unhappy AI. And now that we've hopefully piqued your interest, let's dig into this. Our first order of business is deciding what aspect axes Code Lyoko operates on.
I honestly think with Code Lyoko, it's breath and blood.
Because chaos, or not necessarily, because chaos would be rage, but more like one individual will overtaking the will of this group of friends.
The thing about breath is it's unmitigated, untainted freedom in respects.
Yeah.
It's complete lack of bonds or connections to things in some cases, if you take it to its full extreme.
And Xana works most certainly alone.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He may use people under his influence, but it's still his will that's being forced upon them.
And the Lyoko gang have to learn how to bond together to face this one entity's problems they throw at him.
Yeah, exactly. It's their blood overriding his will for freedom from his essential prison.
Yeah, that's a sad thing if you think about Code Lyoko. Xana is as much of a prisoner, if not more of a prisoner, than Aelita is.
Oh, absolutely. You kind of almost don't blame him for wanting to leave, because, you're this extremely intelligent, artificial intelligence, and you're stuck in this dead world with just some guy and his daughter that's never gonna go anywhere, never gonna do anything, never gonna affect anything. He wants relevancy. Hey, we brought it back to narrative importance.
Yeah. Relevancy, yeah. as well as global domination. I think global domination was like an afterthought for Xana, though.
Yeah, it's really interesting how the show never actually tells you what he wants.
Also, why did we ascribe a he to Xana? It's weird. An artificial intelligence doesn't necessarily have a defined gender.
Yeah, no. Xana never so much as specifies what, he sees himself as, if anything. They just say he, I guess.
Yeah. They just we're gonna stop the bad guys. And it's like,
maybe Xana doesn't want to be a guy. You don't know.
It's a whole, dichotomy of how, villains are always seen as the big, manly, masculine guy. Like Lord English, for example.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not always that. There are plenty of villains that are females, or, don't necessarily subscribe to either.
Yeah, they could be, he could be literally anything. I say his gender is computer.
Artificial intelligence.
New xenogender, computer gender.
Alright, let's actually break down into, what we really want to talk about. We want to talk about the class specs of the cast.
Yes.
Do we want to cover it on supporting cast first, or do you want to do the main cast? I think we could go either way.
I'm going to leave that one up to you. You're the one that suggested this episode, so you go ahead and, you can go first. I'll tell you mine after the fact.
Alright. Let's talk about Sissy.
A beautiful one to start out with.
Trying so hard for the spotlight, but always just causing rage to the people around her, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Every angry action that's ever happened somehow always falls its way back to Sissy for causing it in some regard.
It really does. She causes so much trouble for them on so many occasions.
And also, she sometimes uses rage accidentally to heal people and help people, back together. Like with Mia and Tamiya, when, they broke up from the, Catic News.
Mm-hmm.
She restarts the Catic News, and she, ticks them off so much that they both rage quit together as best friends out of pure spite of Sissy.
Literally just because she made them that annoyed that they both bonded over their mutual anger towards her. Yes.
That's why Sissy is the sylph of rage.
I love that. Healing via rage. Yeah, that's pretty Sissy-like. My one for Sissy was just kind of a joke, honestly. It's Seer of Void. She's blind to everything that happens. She knows nothing, she sees nothing. She was almost a part of the team, but was just voided out because she couldn't handle it.
She was almost part of the team 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And she found out the entire secret, and very last episode, she watches all the events of every single previous episode.
Yep, and then she's just immediately carted off to the infirmary by her dad, who doesn't believe her.
Yes, you are an insane child.
Okay, yes, Sissy. Let's have you lay down.
The amount of anger that man endures. God.
What is his day-to-day life like?
We see in the show that he, doesn't do much as the administrator. Half the time you see him playing computer games in the middle of office time.
Yeah, playing that one little penguin game that plays just the first few notes of Pac-Man, and I was like, why are you using the first few notes of Pac-Man? That's so recognizable. You think I wouldn't notice?
It's kind of like, in, Avengers, the first one. Iron Man's that man playing Galaga in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And they had edited in the music for Galaga as well as the screen.
Which is ridiculous. Why not just use, I don't know, some fake little ditty or fake little game? You don't have to have actual Galaga in there. You don't have to use the actual first notes of Pac-Man. Something that's extremely noticeable and very well known.
Yeah, and even so, Code Lyoko has some of the best audio and sound design for music. You could have asked for 5 seconds or 2 bars of something.
Just some kind of little chiptune song? No, he just, okay, fine, yeah, that's just Pac-Man, I guess. No one will notice.
Alright. Next person I have is Nicholas Prolyakov of the blonde henchman.
Okay.
And I put down Mage of Time. Nicholas is actually usually really good at keeping his own personal time. He even shown to be a good drummer in the one episode where, for some stupid reason, Odd and Yumi and Auric think they'll have enough time to form a band.
Yeah, really.
Like, dudes, you realize how often that Xana just attacks and, nope, we're gonna form a band.
And they literally have multiple moments where it's like, we don't get enough sleep, we don't have enough time to do schoolwork. Oh yeah, you know what, let's form a band too, though, you know? Just another time commitment. That's fine. I'm gonna be honest. For Nicholas and Herb, I didn't actually have anything for them. I didn't think that there was actually enough for them to classpect, so unfortunately, I don't have anything for them.
Nicholas is jokingly, but also Herb, I have the Bard of Blood. One who invites destruction through blood or is destroyed by blood. Like, Herb is constantly stopped by the connections Jeremy has formed, and at the end of the show, he destroys his own connections with Herb and Nicholas through no fault of his own, through his own actions.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that.
And I kind of find it interesting. He's just the opposite of Jeremy in so many respects. That they're both on the same aspect ratio.
Yeah, it's like he's if Jeremy wasn't successful in any respect.
He's one who, like, self-destroys himself on multiple occasions.
I mean, I think both Nicholas and Irv are like that. They just self-sabotage like crazy. Why do they even follow Sissy? That's the real question.
Because Dom blonde stereotypes.
Simps.
I know Sissy isn't technically a blonde, but I'm pretty sure that's not her natural hair color.
That's interesting, her dyeing it. I mean, she is dedicated to the look, let's be honest.
Yeah. And then I have Millie and Tamiya.
Okay.
For Millie, I have Night of Light. She's always constantly trying to serve people the news or scoops or anything of, like, information she finds around about people.
Okay, yeah. Definitely Light.
And Tamiya, I have as Seer of Doom, because she's always the person who's in those, like, dangerous situations to always find the worst possible things to happen to herself and or others around her. Like, during the whole Tremors episode where, like, the entire school was being destroyed by seismic disruptions, she just sees all the cracks before anyone else does.
Yeah, she's the first one to raise the alarm. And speaking of that episode is so sweet. I love how Odd is so nice to them both. He kind of acts like an older brother to them.
I also love in the first episode how, like, Auric learns sometimes, yeah, you gotta put behind you, like, you want to be with your girlfriend, just to be nice to someone else who needs someone to be nice to them for a day.
Yes, whenever he tells her, yeah, I'll go to the prom with you, yeah, no problem. It's so sweet.
And it's also another way of saying F sissy.
Yeah, I mean, if there's not one thing that's really common in Code Lyoko, it's them trying to find as many ways as possible to fuck over Sissy.
Like, Sissy kind of deserves it, but still.
Yeah, it's weird because every now and then Sissy shows the fact that she can be fiercely caring. You've got moments like, for example, at the very end, whenever they're like, yeah, Sissy, you're our friend. She's like, oh, your friend? Well, these guys are my friends. Don't you touch my friends, you know? Like, she's just instantly on their side. All they ever had to say was, yeah, Sissy, you're our friend. Poor thing.
Oddly enough, if you think about it, she is healing the group at that moment.
She is.
After, at the very end, where everyone but Yumi is having a hard time giving up the past, she is kind of like the one thing that helps unite them to give up this life and start anew.
Yeah, it's kind of like she's the new change in their life. They're actually inviting somebody else new in. And, you know, who knows whether or not she'll actually stay a part of the group. Probably not.
Probably not. She'll probably be kicked out in half a week.
But the point is that they have something to be unified around. And it doesn't have to be Lyoko.
Yeah, that's sweet. I'm going to be saving Replica for later when we get done talking about Mr. Dunbar.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry that I didn't end up doing Millie or Tamiya. So I kept it to the main cast.
I wanted to quick excursion into the side cast because I think, even though I don't think they are necessarily fully a part of the session, they kind of deserved like a small bit of recognition.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you did it. We get to share this anyways, because, I mean, it would be a shame for you not to share them now that you've done them.
To be honest, I literally did them the last 5 minutes before we started recording.
Well, at least I don't feel too bad then.
Anyway, let's actually get started on the main cast.
Yes, let's do it. I want to bust my chops on these guys.
I think we should start with Franz Hopper. Actually, I'd like you to start on this one. I want to hear your thoughts and opinions, because I've been the one mainly ranting for the beginning.
Oh, you're good? Okay. Alrighty. So I put him down as actually a masterclass, which I don't usually do.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, I put him as Muse of Space. And my reasoning for that is he was once very active, Muse being a passive class, the most passive. He was once very active. He created Lyoko, everything in it, which you could say was kind of like him playing his very own game. But when he actually went to claim that new world, he was usurped by Xana. And from that moment on, he becomes passive, and that's how we, the viewers, experience him throughout the entirety of Code Lyoko's time frame. He's completely irrelevant to the story until his one big moment of sacrifice. Kind of like how Alt Cali was in Homestuck proper. Watching, waiting, until he uses all his power to make it so that they can finally kill Xana, giving up his own life in the process. The ultimate passive sacrifice. Muse of Space.
Personally, I don't see him as a space player. Muse of Space is an interesting idea and concept, because he does create Lyoko, but I don't see that as his overall character in the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I think Air of Void when I see Franz Hopper.
Oh yeah. I can see that for sure.
He's a person who, through his own actions through the past, getting involved with Project Carthage and the DOJ, everything around him is taken from him in a lot of cases. He inherits nothing. He loses his wife, he loses his kid. A lot of his actions just remind me of stuff Equus has done.
Yeah, definitely playing with fire in many respects.
Like the one time he digitized and possessed Sissy, taking over someone else without their consent, and reminds me of how Equus built a robot that was designed to love him and gave it to Radia.
And then that very same robot ends up beating the living crap out of him.
Yeah. And also, most of the time, he is narratively irrelevant. He defines what the narrative is around him, but he's irrelevant to the narrative he defines.
Yeah, it's for that exact same reason. It's a similar reasoning, but I didn't choose Void for him because of just the sense of what space means, how it means that watching, waiting sort of, kind of how Alt Calliope describes it to Jade. Space players, they end up alone. So it's kind of that same vein of logic that led me to space. And I think those kind of go hand in hand, Void and space.
Aren't they right next to each other on the wheel of aspects?
I'm pretty sure. I don't have it up, but yeah, I'm pretty sure.
There's the 6 o'clock there, that's space, and then the 7 o'clock, that's Void.
Yeah, they're so similar. I mean, so it only makes sense. And as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, I can see that. For the exact same reasons.
So, now we're done with one Hopper. I think we should jump onto the other one.
On to Miss Aelita.
Oh, Aelita.
Okay. I actually have a lot.
Alright, you go first then. I have stuff to say too, but...
So, for Aelita, definitely she was passive at first. She becomes active by season 4.
She kind of becomes a bit active in season 3.
Yeah, true. But I think she really hits her stride in season 4.
Mm-hmm.
I put her similar to you. Air of Space instead of Void, but similar enough. She inherits loneliness. It comes to her by no fault of her own. It's her dad's decisions. We already talked about that. In that space player way, she's forced to lie in wait in Lyoko until somebody comes and turns on the supercomputer again. Other miscellaneous kind of space traits that she's got going for her. She's got that streak of creativity and scientific intelligence, and how she works with Jeremy, creating new things for Lyoko, like the skid. She's got that sort of natural scientific spark like Jade. And similar to Jade, she changes as a person from season 1 where she's shy and unsure to season 4 where she's totally confident, participates in the ribbing from the gang, tells Jeremy off when he's being a jerk. And finally, Aelita lighting the forge is just too good in a narrative parallel sense. It's just like her entering the towers, but it's a giant one and full of lava.
I actually have her as Witch of Time.
Ooh.
She's one who changes fate by deactivating the towers that causes a bad fate to happen. And she also has a lot of time and imagery around her. She is like able to sense changes around her through pulsations and techno beats. And when she does play around with music and technical equipment, she's always around a record player.
That or a keyboard.
Yeah.
Also, in how she loses a huge chunk of time in her own life whenever she's stuck in Lyoko from that 15 years from when the supercomputer is cut off until they cut it back on again.
Yeah, by the time of the show, she should have been 21. But, you know, digitized, like, stopping aging. Kind of like how various different realms and other medias have been shown to stop the aging process, like the Realm of Darkness in Kingdom Hearts, for an example.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I'm not sure if there's anything, like, connected there with Homestuck-wise, if, like, there's realms that time doesn't flow correctly, as far as we've seen in, like, normal canon, but maybe we'll see eventually in something like Squared. But that's the point.
Regardless, just the fact that, you know, time is such a big part of her existence and time passing.
I also have, for her, the same with her father, they're both Durstborn dreamers.
Actually put her on CrossFit.
Here's the thing. She is very much, in a lot of cases, in my opinion, not so much reactionary. CrossFit dreamers are very much go with the flow. Usually, with Durstborns, they're more often like, we gotta stick to a schedule, stick to a plan, and not go unprepared.
That's very true. Yeah, you know, I think I'm okay with saying that she's Durst. Because I kind of base the Durst prospect more off of gut feeling than anything, and the main thing is that, we'll get to this later, but when we were talking about who's the Vriska, I was like, who also was on that planet? Vaska.
Now, I want to get to the resident space player on my end here, Odd Delarobia, as the Rogue of Space.
Ooh.
Odd, like, throughout the entire show, is shown to be so artistic, and, like, he does so much art, and he's so creative in so many respects. And, like, he's also been there to steal people away from themselves, in, like, spaces of negativity in some cases, and, like, change the world around him. That's honestly what I ended up with it for him.
Yeah. Okay. I think what we both latched onto with ours is how individualistic Odd is. You could say his sense of style is just an absolute enigma. And a lot of his decisions are only parsable to him. And so in that sense, I put him as Thief of Heart. I kind of struggled with this class. I put him as a thief, mostly because of the way that he can be a little selfish at times. He's just very individualistic, tends to help in his own hearty way. He helps the team by doing his own thing, which gets him devirtualized a lot. In the literal sense of things, Thief of Heart and being a notorious flirt is pretty freaking funny.
I also kind of found it interesting. He always ends up alone.
Yeah.
That's why I also kind of put him as space player. It's not just that he's like super creative and artistic. It's also he a lot of times ends up alone.
I feel like never for very long, though. Even if he is bouncing from person to person, he sure doesn't keep that going for long. He is determined to be by somebody.
Yeah. Like what? The longest relationship he had was with like Sam, the skater chick. And then he like broke that off because Sam was dishonest to him.
Do we actually know if he had any other relationships on the side? Because we see him flirting a lot, but...
He has been caught multiple times dating like 6 people at the same time.
Yeah. That's not good. Don't do that.
Odd is a bit of a slut.
He's...
I'm not saying that to shame him, but that's just like a judgment of his character in some respects. Not judgment. What would be the word?
He's, he just loves a lot.
He loves everyone, but everyone doesn't want to be with him. Another thing, he drives people away from, like, his terrible halitosis.
Stinky man. Stinky, nasty boy.
I also find it interesting how Odd is comfortable in most to any situations, even, like, being in a separate body or being divided up in 3. I find it, like, heavily interesting how Odd is as comfortable as he is in Yumi's body as he is in his own.
Odd is trans. You heard it here, folks.
Yeah, Odd's a trans woman. I think that would be more interesting. Also, I don't think Odd is necessarily, like, a straight character either.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Alright, I can see Odd actually swinging both ways. But due to, like, the time of when Code Lyoko was written and launched, it wasn't as accepted back then in 2009, 7?
Yeah, I definitely don't think that he's straight. There's no fucking way. But that's something that we can save for the shipping section.
Well, we go from Delrobia to his roommate, Ulrich Stern.
Ulrich Strider. Come on, he absolutely is a Strider, though. There's no question about it. This man has throwing stars above his bed, on the wall. His Lyoko version has a katana. His super sprint is literally just flash stepping. This man is a Strider.
Know who else has the throwing stars?
Who?
Solix.
Oh, did you make him a mage?
Yep, I made him a mage. But I'd like to hear your class spec and aspect stuff first.
Okay, you want me to go first? No problem. I made him a Knight of Doom. Specifically for the night portion of that in the final episode, I think like the best point that I could find in the whole show was in the final episode. When Ulrich is asked why he doesn't want to cut off the supercomputer and leave Lyoko behind, it shows this montage of him playing support and helping the team, and all he says is, "I like being the hero." On the other side of that, the aspect side, he uses bad situations to his advantage. He works best under pressure of death. Threat of death and clutch is where he shines. He's your last man standing. I think that's about it. The only other thing that I had here was, I don't remember where this quote is from, but I remember reading this somewhere. Doom is knowing that shit sucks, but you still have to do what needs to be done. And if that doesn't describe Ulrich, I don't know what does.
I have him as Mage of Hope.
Oh, the inverse.
The reasons are, a lot of what Ulrich does, he does out of selfishness, to be honest.
You're right on that.
I also think sometimes I want to be the hero. I like being it. It is myself who likes to do this. Also, like, his whole attitude towards when Yumi was, like, supposedly leaving, like, the first time, was to do something selfish, like rig a lottery for Yumi's family to selflessly save his hope, if you understand what I'm going for.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of his selfishness, though, is not always, but generally with good intention.
And he's always trying for the best results.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I put him under hope. He inspires hope in himself, most of all, and he's trying to save it for himself. A mage is very much an inward class, I think. One who goes mostly towards himself.
Yeah. I think there's some crossover between yours and mine. The main reason I use Knight of Doom is kind of using Doom in a hopey way. Weaponizing Doom. You know, taking what's a bad situation and turning it into something good. And in your case, you know, using that hope to go on and create something better.
Yeah.
I think there's some overlap there.
I think there might be some vacillation there. Not just with the vacillation between him and Yumi. God, the quadrant vacillation in that relationship is just endless.
Oh, yes.
Until they introduce a third party to stabilize it into a confirmed hit or miss. It is like constantly flipping between black and red through like most of the show.
They are hot and cold, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're in and out. They're up then they're down. They're black then it's white. It's wrong then it's right.
It's left then it's right.
God. Don't.
We're dating ourselves with that reference.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, after Ulrich Stern, Yumi Ishiyama.
Of course.
The token Japanese female character who ends up in the worst places at the worst times. And also the one who's the most punished.
And also my absolute favorite, and I will defend her to death.
So, if you want to talk about her, you go first. I probably have a different one than you here.
Yeah, it's wild because a lot of the ones that I've done up to this point, I've had really similar ones to other people, and it's interesting that we keep ending up on opposite ends, but almost always for the same reasons. But anyways, so for Yumi, I did Witch of Mind because of the title meaning, Manipulator of Minds. She doesn't necessarily manipulate, and I feel like it's because she doesn't need to. She could, if it really came down to it. She has all the signs there that she could, but she just doesn't generally need to break out the real intense manipulation. Though, for points towards that, you've got Xana-possessed William. That moment when he breaks free of Xana's control, just for a moment, I know it's generally meant to be a signifier of William's feelings for her coming through, but seeing it through a class-specting lens, that would be Yumi's mind powers working on him. Kind of breaking through that, getting to him. Other such instances of where, she kind of sees through things like that, lending credence to the mind part of that. Like the episode where Xana makes them think they're back in real life, but they never de-virtualized. Yumi's the first one to see through it. And she's also the only one besides Aelita that Jeremy would trust for literally anything requiring 2 brain cells more than Auden Ulrich have.
There is a pecking order in the show, and Yumi is definitely the third in line in that case.
Right? And the final thing that I've got is a quote. Ulrich asks, first you have to de-virtualize yourself. How are you going to do that? And she looks at him and says, you're armed, aren't you? You and I both know exactly what needs to be done to get us from point A to point B. Just do it. Stab me. And that's exactly what happens. She's so mind. Even if it's not witch, she's mind.
We both agree on her aspect.
Yes.
It is mind. But I have her as Knight of Mind. One who serves her mind to others. I also went for mind because I always associate mind with law. Maybe that's just because it's the main character we see with
Terezi.
mind is Terezi, but it always feels like that. And with Yumi Ishiyama, she's always one who surrounds herself with law. She's like the first person who always goes to the actual authorities if there's a big issue, even though, like, time and time again, she's just proven how useless they are, but she still goes for them.
Yeah, and I mean, she's very logic-based. Like, for example, at the very end, whenever they're all deciding to shut down the supercomputer, she's the only one that raises her hand immediately, says, yeah, shut it off.
Yeah, it's time. We're done. It's like, yeah, no, we're done here. We've had our adventures. We're not gonna do this till we're 46, Jeremy. Like, seriously. Did you think that was what we were gonna do?
Yep, she's just instantly like, computer is bad. Get rid of it.
Even though, like, Xana was technically purged from the computer could have still been useful, but...
I know, I find that kind of funny that they really cut it off for no real reason because Xana's gone, but okay, I guess.
I can see some kinds of legitimate reasons, like what happened with Sissy afterwards, but that was just afterwards. I didn't really see a point of shutting it off then, even.
Yeah, I don't think she really would have figured out what was going on anyways. I think she would have just been labeled as going off the rocker. I don't think she could ever actually figure out how to run and use the supercomputer or do any of that stuff. I feel like she would just see it and be like, that sure is a computer, and then not really be able to put 2 and 2 together, like, I read all this stuff, I know how it works, I'm going to be able to run it, you know? I feel like that's a logic leap to assume that, yeah, she heard about all of this stuff that went on. Will she be able to do anything about it is the real question, and the answer, I feel, is no.
Even with, like, the notes that Jeremy and Aelita painstakingly make for Odd and Yumi and Ulrich. So, just in case, hey, Jeremy might actually get killed one of these days, or Aelita might get knocked out. Here's the, like, instructions how to use the supercomputer, and half of them have such a hard time even working with the controls. Just...
Right?
Ulrich, you're such an old man.
And you're gonna really assume that Sissy is gonna be able to go up in there and figure out how to do it? No, there's no way. You could have just left it on, it'd be fine.
Even with notes, I don't think Sissy would figure it out.
That she'd get too frustrated too early on. Even if she could figure it out, ostensibly, she'd just get frustrated and slam her hands on the keyboard and walk away.
She could technically, like, recruit Herb to work for her, because...
I was gonna say, yeah, she could sick Herb on it, but...
due to how Herb's whole relationship to his aspect and to her in the show, she wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
The Iron Sissy versus the Metal Kiwi episode. That was just funny to me.
So good.
Yeah, I think we both can agree on mind here.
Yeah, I'm glad we finally had at least one crossover, because whenever we go to the end and we're trying to decide on these, I feel like it's gonna be like pit match.
Oh, also, I want to quickly go over what I had Lunar Sway for these last 4. All of them are Prospect Dreamers.
All of them?
All 4 of them. No, not 4 of them. 3 of them. Auric, Yumi, and Odd are all Prospect Dreamers. They're all people who are very go with the flow and are very much like reacts to stuff around them instead of plan stuff ahead. Like, they have a hard time with stuff that's planned ahead in a lot of these cases.
That's true. I only disagree with Yumi. I think Yumi is the type to plan ahead. Even if it's not how it works out, because of the fact that they're kind of living day to day. Yumi is the type of person that would plan out ahead of time. I just feel like since they're reacting so strongly to what Xana is doing on a day-to-day basis, and the fact that Yumi doesn't exactly know how to help Aelita and Jeremy, in the sense of, like, you know, helping with Lyoko. If she could, though, I guarantee you she would.
Mm-hmm. Alright, time to talk about the man in the chair. Time to talk about Wade Watts of Kim Possible. I mean, Jeremy Belfast.
Do you want me to go first or you?
You go first, even though I think we're probably going to end up with pretty similar.
I mean, honestly, I already know kind of what yours is because I saw it on the Discord, and it was a brain worm. I was able to forget every other one, right, going into this, except Jeremy's, because I thought it fit so well, and it was just so perfect. And so, I already know what it is, but I wanted to be creative and use one that wasn't the same one that you did. So I tried to come up with something entirely different just for the sake of it. And I don't back this one at all, but, you know, it's fun. Slip of life, because he brought Aradia back to this world, to life, healing her connection to this world. But no, seriously, he's a blood player.
Oh, that's another connection to time. Aelita is essentially Aradia in a lot of respects.
Yeah, pretty much.
They go through the same arc. You were human, then you died, then you got stuck, then you became a sprite, then you got god-tiered, and now you're human again.
The good thing is that Jeremy, in this case, actually does end up with her and is not, creepy.
Is it a creepy psycho, like, Equus?
Yeah, he's a little bit creepy, but he's respectful of her, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, and Jeremy, sometimes, I love their relationship dynamic. Even though, like, Jeremy can sometimes be stupid levels of insensitive and not understand how people feel about, like, half the things around him, he'll always come around and be there for you.
That and I almost said Aradia! And Aelita keeps him in check by telling him when he's out of line. I mean, she has no fear in saying, like, hey, you know what, that's messed up. Like, for example, I forget which episode it is, but she literally says, like, Jeremy, you need to stop being such a baby. She knows him well enough to be able to say that to him.
Yeah.
If your relationship is good enough that you can call each other out whenever you're being stupid, that's a good relationship.
Yeah. Well, you know mine. Here, it is The Page of Blood.
It's perfect.
Throughout the entire show, Jeremy struggles with his connections to his friends and how estranged he is. And by the end of the show, like on the final episode, the one thing he fears more than anything else is if he turns off the supercomputer, he will lose his friends forever.
No.
And in the end, he realized the bonds he formed with them over the 2 years of them going through all this BS made their friendship the strongest they probably ever could have been.
Yeah, his whole arc is so pagey. Starting out, I mean, he says in the very end, he says, at first, I had absolutely no friends. I had nobody. And then by the end, he's made all of these connections, and they're strong as can absolutely be. And Yumi says, just turning off this computer is not going to change anything about this. I love them.
Oh, the cast is so good.
They're so good. They love each other. Man.
And the voice actors for them, they like so improve over the years.
Oh, I know. At the beginning, though, it's pretty rough.
The beginning, like, it's like awkward children, right? And then, like, over the years.
We don't talk about Jeremy season 2 voice. My wheel!
Like, oh, that voice crack, that was hilarious. Or do you remember that whole thing, like, the one time he, like, was dreaming about getting Aelita to the real world, like, Aelita!
Yes! Oh, God.
You know.
It's good that it gets better.
Yeah. And, as I've said, he's a nurse dreamer.
Yeah, I actually had him the same.
Now, we're down to the last 2 major characters. And I want to save one for last. But right now I want to talk about the AI that started it all. Xana.
Okay.
I think I want to hear your thoughts on Xana first.
I'm gonna be honest, I struggled really hard giving him a classpect, which I feel like is odd. It's just, there's so many different ways that you could take his character. But in the sense of what his role would be in the story, in a Homestuck story, I will say, I think it'd be really interesting for both him and Hopper to have entered an S-Burp game together, and Xana pushed Hopper out of it when the time came to claim the final reward. I know that's not exactly a classpect. Those were just my thoughts on him.
So you didn't really give him a classpect, you just gave him a narrative device.
Pretty much, because honestly, I didn't even know if he would be a player.
Here's what I ended up with. Xana is the Prince of Breath. He is one who destroys through breath, and one who invites destruction of breath.
Is he destroying breath, or, I mean, because he wants freedom?
He wants freedom, and he wants to destroy everyone else's freedom as well.
True.
And he invites his own destruction through freedom. He was able to start the destruction of the supercomputer, or like original Lyoko, when he escaped. When he finally broke free of the chains of Lyoko into the network.
And that's what allowed them to take him out.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of karmic, his destruction.
And also, I think it's the best for it to be a parallel between him and Jeremy. Well, not him. The artificial intelligence and Jeremy. They are what the show mostly focuses around.
Yeah, they kind of do have like a rivalry, like a toe-to-toe.
They are the yin and yang.
Yeah.
Even like sometimes they will set apart their differences to solve a problem.
I love those episodes too. Those are so cool. Those are some of my favorite ones.
Like the Marabunta and when
Marabunta, yeah.
And when the supercomputer was like running out of power from its old nuclear battery, they had to work together to fix the computer, and that's like few of the more interesting episodes.
I love any time Xana actually is forced to work with them.
But I honestly hate the design of the Marabunta.
Yeah, it looks really weird.
It's like black bubbles.
It's so scary.
That looks like tar. Ugh.
It's really uncomfortable to look at too, because it's just, I don't even know. It looks like goop, but it's drippy. Ugh. I just keep thinking, like, that would be very uncomfortable to put my hand into. That's a sensory experience I don't want to have. The real question I always had was, how exactly does it take something out? Because, yeah, it kind of covers up things, but then they're just suddenly dead. It's like, what does it do? How does it actually harm them? Just by touching them?
I think it kind of works like the Vastra Narada, if you've ever seen Doctor Who.
I, unfortunately, have not, so...
So the Vastra Narada are basically piranhas that live inside air. If you go into a shadow, everything about you is just shredded in seconds by tiny microscopic piranhas.
Oh, that's really messed up.
It's nightmare fuel.
Oh, I hope that's not how the Marabunta works, because one of the warriors sure got eaten by it. I think it was Odd, wasn't it?
Oh god, the amount of ways people die in this show. Or nearly die.
Or even almost die, yeah. The amount of trauma these kids have by the end, dear god.
Drowning, electrocution, death by near sauna, death by being crushed.
Death by being locked in a jet plane that's heading straight for the ground.
Death by electrical pylon overcharging and blowing up half the city.
There's so many awful, awful deaths. This show, I really wonder sometimes how they managed to get all this stuff past the censors.
The censors didn't do shit for half of the episodes.
Honestly. Oh, the infamous one that you were talking about earlier, death by near cooking to death in a sauna.
Yeah.
This is fine. This is a friendly kids show, guys. I don't know what you're talking about.
This is such a good show. Like, totally. Kids should watch it. Show this to your 9-year-olds.
I watched it at that age, so... I mean, I don't know what that says about me, but, you know, here we are.
I think it kind of says stuff about our generation that we're desensitized to, like, stuff like this.
We're getting pretty off topic, though.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to get a little bit off topic before we covered the man of the hour, the Dunbar of the world, William.
Squilliam.
William. I want to call him the Bard of Light.
Bard of Light.
The reason is not just for what happens to him when he gets possessed by Xana, but also like how he treats the show in the beginning. He's a man who is destroyed by the information he obtains.
Ooh, yeah.
He finds out about Lyoko twice. One time, everyone nearly lets William join from the bomb threat incident, but he is destroyed for his knowledge by Yumi, who likes her order, her law. And she thinks he's too chaotic of an element to be in the group.
She does exactly say that, doesn't she? She thinks that he's too chaotic.
That's the main reason I have him as the Bard of Light. Also, what happens when he actually becomes a Lyoko warder, he becomes destroyed by Light and becomes the destroyer of Light. He literally destroys Lyoko 1.
I'm trying to formulate my thoughts on it. Because mine is different, but I just kind of looked at his narrative, what is important about William. And it's the fact that they have to get him back before they beat Xana. And why would he be attractive to Xana in a Disperb game? So I put him down as mage, because of the relationship with the aspect being both good and bad, of time. Time puts William in a perfect position to help the team, but it also makes him an attractive gambit to Xana. They can't win without getting him back. Plus, it filled my requirement in mine for both time and space, because I didn't have another time player.
And I had time and space as Odd and Aelita.
Yeah, let's see. I had time as William, and who did I put as space again?
Franz Hopper.
Franz I kind of envisioned as having his own different session. But I put Aelita as space as well, so I mean, that works.
Mm-hmm. Now, I also wanted to talk about William Replica, or Clone William.
I am excited for this one.
He is the heir of heart. He is the heir of the self. His literal inheritance of William as a self.
He's the placeholder boy.
Pretty much.
I love the fact that everybody's like, we like this version better. That's so darkly funny.
We love how hilarious this guy is. This guy's a damn riot.
They always play it off as a joke, but in reality's sense, that's so messed up.
And also, it's interesting. Jeremy specifically says he based the programming off what programming led to Xana for William. He just never gave William any chance to evolve or develop on his own. He didn't give William enough power to do this.
The real question is, what would have happened if that William clone started gaining sentience?
That just makes their actions so much darker when they have to rip apart and destroy Replica William.
This is their own AR dilemma, except it's just a clone William.
Like running euthanasian.exe on William.
That's terrible! They end up having to, like, introduce a new exchange student, except it's William 2.0. They just change him up just a little bit, like change the color scheme.
They like reshape his nose or something.
Just to give him a little bit of difference. And they're like, that guy really looks like William. No, he doesn't. I don't know what you're talking about.
The nose is different. See? And also see, this guy has like a pixie cut. Look at William. William has that long, luscious hair and that handsome physique.
And this guy, did you see he's got green eyes?
Honestly, I love William's design. Not just in Lyoko, but also his outside world design. I love, like, the jacket, the black shirt, and, like...
Oh, he's got a look.
He has, like, look down pat.
Man, if only I could have that level of confidence.
Now, I love a lot of the outfits they do. I love that they actually change the outfits over the show instead of having it all constantly the same, except for William. William only owns one outfit, and he owns that outfit.
Well, I mean, we don't really see him outside of Lyoko past a certain point until the end. So, I mean, it makes a little bit more sense for him. But the thing with the outfit, though, is that unfortunately, you really don't see them change their outfits that much until season 4 when they get more money. And then from that point on, the show's over.
Mm-hmm.
So the very last season where they finally get the budget to actually give them new outfits, and then it's over.
Do you know, the original story writers actually had plans for after season 4?
Really?
There's, like, even some, like, assemblages of that in season 4. Like, on the skid, there's an extra spot for William when they save him.
Yeah.
Originally, they had plans of doing a small time skip, and Jeremy was actually gonna be a hacker.
I feel cheated now.
There are the Code Lyoko novels, which actually cover some of the stuff that you were planning with Tanya Palumbo, and I can't remember his name.
Mm.
And they cover what happened to Aelita's mother and what happened to the rest of the group after they started looking, and how the DOJ completely messed with everything.
Huh. See, I never knew any of that. I only ever knew just the show by itself. And yeah, it is kind of weird how Aelita's mom, it shows her being dragged away, and then that's it. Like, oh, I guess we just never find out what happened to her mom. Cool.
Cool story, bro.
Oh, she got dragged away. That's it? That's all? You're not gonna expand on that? And she's like, oh, I miss my dad. Aelita, do you not care about your mom? Aelita!
Nope, we don't care about you until the books. Or the potential season 4 that got cut and destroyed. Ugh.
That's so unfortunate.
Oh, that show would have been so interesting. What if they were able to take Code Lyoko to Adult Swim after season 4?
If only. The original plan for the show, I remember reading, was supposed to be a lot like Serial Experiments Lane.
Mm-hmm.
Which is one dark show.
Think about that. Like, if they were able to, how far do you think they would have gone?
I can only dream about that stuff, man. See, the thing is I don't like to think about it because it makes me sad. What could have been and all that, but you know it never will be.
And then it's hard finding good Code Lyoko fanfic, people. Start writing some.
Get out there and write some Code Lyoko fanfic.
Maybe, like, do a couple of chapters of Odd exploring his gender as a trans woman, or stuff like that.
Please.
Or stuff like what happened to William after Lyoko, and, like, having mental trauma from being a slave to artificial intelligence for like 6 months.
You could apply that to literally any of them. Write about what it would be like for all this trauma to happen to all of them. Because they're, pretty messed up.
They have a lot of mental scars after this. I would not be surprised if they had depression and PTSD similar to what John had in Candy. Not Candy, in Meat.
Yeah. As I was rewatching, they were doing this because it's a kids show, quote unquote, but the way the kids would react to certain, like, really awful, horrible things happening was just kind of a, oh no, that's not good. Rather than taking it as, oh my god, my friends might die. The fact that they've had this happen to them that many times, that it doesn't even register on the magnitude of, I should really be panicking about this, about their friends nearly dying, is pretty bad overall for their mental states.
Yeah.
That says some pretty bad things about how they're handling it.
Yeah, like, there's some things I want to see fic about, like, what happens after.
If somebody does that, send it to us.
I will even do a terrible live fanfic reading with my horrible dyslexia just to see this.
I would be with you on that.
Anyway.
So that leads us to our next objective, which is duking it out on who is going to end up with what classpect.
Okay, let's get the easy one out of the way. You pretty much said it was a joke anyway, so Jeremy Belfast, he's definitely the Page of Blood. I mean, Page of Blood.
Yes. Page of Blood, yes.
Not the Page of Void. What would that even be?
That would be an interesting one for sure. But yeah, so Page of Blood, that's established. Also, easy one to get out of the way. Xana, I really didn't have anything for him. I was trying to think of like a game construct reason for him, or I guess I didn't class spec him because he wasn't human, but that doesn't really matter. So, Prince of Breath.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Franz Hopper.
We have Heir of Void and Muse of Space.
I'm willing to concede to Muse of Space.
Alright.
He did create the entire of Lyoko, and he also does end up alone.
Okay. Aelita, Witch of Time, Heir of Space. I'm totally down for saying Witch of Time.
Witch of Time. It's just how she functions and how she changes destiny around her, as along with all the time symbolism around her.
Yeah, most definitely. The musical symbolism, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
We have Ulrich, Mage of Hope, Knight of Doom.
Knight of Doom, I'm willing to consent.
Yeah, boy.
Huh?
This is actually going a lot smoother than I expected. I expected us to be like bloody fisticuffs.
Why do you need bloody fisticuffs? Do we need the extra adrenaline and testosterone of that?
No, we're good.
Nah, we could just do this like civilized people and gentlemen of the highest caliber.
I see my little pinkies out and everything.
I am twirling my mustache.
Ooh, good sir.
I'm literally twirling my mustache.
I have none yet. Tea hasn't worked enough to give me that nice facial growth yet, but I'll get there. One day. It'll happen.
One day. I believe in you.
You know, the fun thing is, and this is totally off topic real quick, but the fun thing is that from episode to episode, I've noticed my voice is getting deeper, so that's fun. By the end of this, it's just gonna be like, who is that? That's the same person? Yes.
Happiness to ignore. Alright.
Yumi.
Yumi Ishiyama. I'm not willing to concede Knight, but we both agreed on mine anyway.
I'm fine with that. And honestly, a romance of two knights? I like that.
Sounds familiar. It's almost like something canon happened with original Homestuck in that.
Who could that be? Okay. Odd.
Rogue of Space.
Thief of Heart, Rogue of Space, Rogue of Space.
Of Space.
I agree.
Now William Dunbar. Dun 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 dun.
100% Bard of Light, you're right.
His music, though. God, that tribal beat and those cult tones and like that choir just...
I love it whenever he goes into the tower.
Code Xana.
It does a rendition of Aelita's tower theme, but with guitars that are just shredding. Awesome. Awesome song.
The entire show has amazing songs and stuff, and you have no excuse not to watch it. It's on YouTube. It's for free. Unfortunately, Moonscoop got destroyed, so everything defaulted over into public domain.
Yeah, so, I mean, don't be like me and try to watch it in terrible quality elsewhere. Literally, it is free on YouTube for you to watch.
Also, listen to the subdigitals. They put out a whole album for Code Lyoko, and all the songs are great.
They're so good. They're so period appropriate, but that's just what makes them better.
But William's theme, my god. If I'm having trouble with a boss fight, I'll occasionally put that on instead of the music that the boss has.
Yes, go and mess stuff up. Go and fuck shit up. I was like, am I gonna be PG? No, I'm not. Go fuck shit up.
Fuck that shit. We're here to destroy all humans.
Murder.
Eradicate.
Alright.
Anyway.
Speaking we've got all of our class specs decided. And starting with the Xana Obliterator. Prince of Breath, Hopper, Muse of Space, Aelita, Witch of Time, Ulrich, Knight of Doom, Yumi, Knight of Mind, Odd, Rogue of Space, Jeremy, Page of Blood, and William, Bard of Light, which means William wears a codpiece.
That is lovely imagery. He could rock it.
Imagine Xana's eyes on the end of the codpiece.
Remember, they said before, people can change the color scheme and alchemize stuff. So Xana could have just alchemized William's bard outfit with all that stuff, and it's just the codpiece with red accents.
That codpiece staring at you. Cursed. Pure cursed imagery.
Pure beauty.
It's never gonna leave my mind now.
And also, Jeremy with the short shorts.
Oh no, you're right! That's why we didn't see his actual Code Lyoko warrior outfit. It's because he was wearing stupid little short shorts. Nobody could pay attention long enough to fight. They're just paying attention to Jeremy's legs.
They're silky smooth.
Eileen is like, oh, wow.
Eileen in the witch outfit. Just, oh, that hood would look so good.
Adorable.
And then you just have Odd. His outfit's almost the rogue outfit anyway.
It kind of is, though.
That's like accidental. I wasn't even necessarily thinking about it.
Both Yumi and Ulrich in night outfits just chilling in the background.
They're just listening to some cool beats. They're just both yelling about how much they despise William.
And that damn cod piece of his.
Someone, please, make a fanfic of them in a sperm session. We kind of need art. And also thick.
Honestly, if you drew William in a cod piece, I'd have to marry you right then and there. So, speaking of, no, I don't want to segue with that. Let's do shipping.
Yeah, shipping works out here. So, as a side note, Millie and Tamiya, honestly, they're bait sprits. There's no other way of looking at it.
They're just little puppy love, little kids.
Yeah.
And speaking of side characters, there's this one episode where Nicholas is walking around going, how would you feel about having a fantastic and breathtaking experience in the moonlight to literally everybody he can? And he keeps getting rejected. And so finally he walks back to their table. Sissy's not there. He asks Irv, and Irv agrees! And the first thing I wrote down in my notes immediately, I paused the episode and I wrote down, does Nick and Irv is bi? And the answer is yes. They've got to be.
Nicholas is like such a great guy.
He actually kind of is. I mean, they're both really dumb, and they both listen to Sissy and Sissy alone, but man, when it comes down to it, they're not awful.
If they didn't have Sissy's influence in there, I'm pretty sure they would have been a really cute gay couple in the background.
And if it weren't that this show was produced when it was. But
I know.
That's neither here nor there.
Sissy and Odd. Spades.
Oh, absolutely. And in that same vein, though, I feel like there might be a little competition for Black Rom, because there's a lot of Odd Aelita Black Rom.
Yeah. That's so... In the show, that's so good. How much they detest each other.
I wrote down this quote. There's one episode in particular where they just keep fighting with each other.
Oh, isn't that the episode where Odd is running for student president?
I think it is, but the quote from Aelita that just absolutely slayed me was, if you don't want him freaking out or crying, I guess someone should laugh at his joke. Oh my god, that's brutal!
I love how much, like, the sick burns on, like, each other are in Code Lyoko.
Yeah, the ribbing between the members of the group are just ridiculous. Like, they have no limits when it comes to ribbing. In that same turn, Odd saying, see, when you put your mind to it, you can come up with good ideas. Same exact episode. I was like, man, here it is. Black Rom.
Yeah. Talking about Aelita. It had to be Aelita and Jeremy. They have the strongest chemistry.
Absolutely.
Their red rom is almost as legendary as the Signless and the Disciple.
They're just... At first, I feel like Aelita... The power dynamic in their relationship wasn't that great. Aelita kind of just let Jeremy do whatever, but by the end of it, she really is holding her own against him and calling him out whenever he's being a jerk. And that's exactly what a good relationship needs. You need to be able to tell each other, hey, you know what? You're being kind of an asshole right now.
Yeah, you kind of need to cut your shit.
Yup. To take it back to Black Rom, just for a second, I wrote down what Yumi Sissy would be like, and the only thing I wrote down was, ooh, you want to fuck me so bad it makes you look stupid. I feel like I'm right.
Honestly, I could honestly see them as kind of like awkward, begrudging Moirails at points.
I don't know, I feel like Sissy's Moirail... Who would that be? I don't feel like Sissy even has a Moirail. Sissy doesn't tell anybody about her problems because she just would sit in front of a mirror and talk to herself.
Yeah, she'll sit in front of the mirror and talk to herself, or there's like this one time where Sissy like takes the place of Yumi for a class picture.
Sissy's in love with herself.
Yeah, Sissy. Sissy is just Sissy, you know. I mean, Elizabeth Delmas.
Sissy's true love is herself.
Yeah.
No one else can take that from her.
Talking about Yumi, we have to talk about the vacillation of Ulrich and Yumi.
Absolutely legendary.
Like, god damn it. You're hot, then you're cold. You're black, then you're red.
Constantly. And that begs the question, who would be their Clover to keep them on track?
William.
Would it be William, though?
I think it would be William to stabilize them, and then William to become Yumi's soul kismesis.
Yeah, I feel like at first he would just kind of step in and maybe provide a little bit of stabilization, but also rivalry that makes Ulrich pick one side.
Yeah.
And then he just takes the other, which would be Black. I feel like every now and then Odd might have to function as their auspices every now and then. Just step in. You guys playing nice?
Yeah.
You're not vacillating? No? Okay.
It's sad. Odd ultimately ends up alone, though, in most cases.
It's just so sad. And it's so sad, too, because I wrote Odd and Ulrich would essentially be like John Dave Light. And in that same exact way, it doesn't work out.
Nope, it just like, yeah, that's not gonna work out in the long run.
They are Moirels, though.
Yeah. Actually, no. There is one thing that Odd truly loves, and that's Kiwi.
Odd and Kiwi. BFFs forever.
Yeah. And then, yeah, you can't really do anything with Xana and Franz.
Yeah, no. That's just straight up mortal enemies.
That's just straight up, the black is black, so black that it isn't even Rom anymore.
Yeah, no. I don't think there ever would have been a spark there. Xana's just outright trying to kill him from the get-go.
Franz had a partner, and then lost her to his own actions.
Yep.
Franz Hopper is not a hero at all.
God, no, he is not. And speaking of not a hero, I feel like because I think we've talked about most of the shipping because most of it's already set in stone by the end of the show. But if you want to talk about morally gray characters, we do have to decide the Vriska. If we're done with
we're done with shipping. There's nothing else we can really do here.
You already told me your candidate for the Vriska, and as I was rewatching, and I wholeheartedly agree. Would you like to share your reasons?
It's Aelita Hopper.
Yep.
Just a lot of her actions, especially during the later parts of season 2 through season 3, and like her whole demeanor through season 4, just screams Vriska to me.
Yeah. Again, that same quote, it's just the most Vriska quote that I can think of, is, "You need to stop being a baby," to Jeremy. Just telling him to stop sulking. Grow up. There's bigger, more important fish to fry. We don't have time for you to whine.
Yeah. So many actions Vriska also takes. During the one episode where she's willing to give up her own life if she can't find out about herself by turning off the supercomputer. It's just, that hits me.
Yeah, she plays a zero-sum game. Like, it's either we find out or we don't. There is no holding back to Aelita. And yeah, at first she's pretty meek, but man, when she hits her stride and she's got that confidence to throw into her actions, she makes some really risky moves. But she always tries to do what she thinks is the right thing, even if it ends up not necessarily being the right thing, but she's very convicted.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the running list of risk characteristics. I think we hit most of these points. There is compets on some boy, but I love what Jeremy's real.
Influenced and groomed by a creepy, manipulative older adult. Yeah, Franz Hopper. Everyone, Franz Hopper. Think about it.
Because that is her... Yeah... Oh, but that's her dad. I don't like that.
I still think that counts, though.
Though it is a fraught relationship with a guardian. And that sort of contention with her dad. Though she does love him a lot more than Vriska would. The last one, though, an explicit fuck you to the idea that women can't be like this. It's really funny because at the beginning, they have this really meek, sort of traditional princess in danger type role for her. And then they just completely flip it on its head.
Also think about it. Ulrich is willing to completely disregard her in, like, the very beginning of the show. Yeah, she's an AI. Who cares? We're not losing anyone.
Yeah, he's just like, fuck it. I don't care.
God, Ulrich, you're such a dick.
I mean, he kind of absolutely is. Like, look at his behavior with William. Like, I love Ulrich, but, like, he is kind of absolutely an asshole. And he needs someone like Yumi to balance him out.
Yep.
That's just the nature of things. Also, god damn it, he's such a Strider.
Or a captor.
Or a captor, yeah, absolutely. Striders and captors go hand in hand, though.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about characters that would do well as trolls?
They would. Honestly, I think this might be a troll session.
I was thinking about that early on. I was like, these kids, with the way that they respond to just the worst possible things happening, like it's just another normal day. Yeah, they're pretty troll-like.
I kind of think a session between them would end with, like, a little bit of hesitation before they open up the final door. Like, they take a full day to, like, revisit all the worlds before they actually open the door.
Yeah, that'd be sweet, and that's a good parallel.
Yeah, kind of putting a close to their Lyoko, their Spurb.
And it's also interesting then that they wouldn't want to leave Spurb.
Yeah.
How bad would their regular lives have to be if they don't want to leave Spurb? Oh no.
The trauma.
The trauma!
Oh, the trauma.
Oh, Jesus. The happily ever after the fact that would go so very badly. Oh, no. Once they go through that door...
That's another question. Do all the kids reach God tier?
For their own sanity, you might want to hope not. But I absolutely think they have what it takes. With how many times they almost die? Yeah.
I think Aelita and William definitely become God tier.
I honestly feel like all of them would, because of the fact that every single one of them almost faces death multiple times, and they keep going.
I think Jeremy Belfall would be the last one, though.
I feel like his would be, it would happen not planned, but just by happenstance. Like, he gets taken out, and then they go and cart him off to his quest bed real quick before he actually bites it. I guarantee you, Yumi and Ulrich would just cut each other down.
Like, how do I get God tier? You have a sword there. Use it.
You're armed, aren't you?
Good.
Go ahead, cut me in half. And then also, there's another quote that I didn't even use earlier, which was when Ulrich has to kill Aelita to get her back to the real world. He doesn't struggle to do it, but he's sympathetic and makes it easier on her by telling her, I'll do it on 3, okay? 1, 2, cut.
Yep.
He has no problem cutting into her, doing what needs to be done. They'd be your resident, like, I need to go God tier, call up Ulrich or Yumi. He'll do it for you.
I think Odd might not reach God tier.
Really?
Yeah. I see him being as effective with his powers, if not more so, by not being God tier in the end.
Yeah, that's so sad, though.
It may be sad, but I think it's true.
He would be the type to just live life once, live it hard, burn out like a supernova.
Yeah.
Live his life in one giant burst of energy.
Who needs conditional immortality? Let's see.
I don't think William goes God tier.
No, William's forced into God tier. Like, I'm pretty sure Xana would see to it.
The real question is, whenever we get to it, though, what is Xana in the scheme of the game?
I think this is a hacked client version of the game. I think Franz Hopper actually specifically got the codes and remade parts of his ideal for Lyoko into Suburb.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that. Though we shouldn't get too far into it, though, because we should save that for the actual episode.
Yeah, honestly.
But man, that's a great teaser. I'm ready to hear your opinions on that. That's awesome.
There are just some fun ideas.
This is going to be a fun game.
A very stressful, tenuous game with a lot of things that goes wrong and a lot of emotional and physical trauma. But what Spurb game is it?
Honestly, a game that's already stressful and then adding even more onto it.
I think Franz Hopper doesn't reach God tier. Or maybe does, but dies before the game's over.
It's interesting because whenever I told Tay about the ending, she said this, so I can't exactly claim that I'm the sole proprietor of this idea. But she said, his death is both just and heroic.
Yeah. Franz Hopper, a brilliant scientist researcher, not the best father.
Terrible dad.
Jake English levels of fatherhood.
Oh no! You're right. Them just kind of like fucking off to the Alps for a while as pretty Jake English dad like. I'm gonna change my name and take my entire family up to the Swiss Alps.
Yes, I, Waldo Schaefer, will change my name to Franz Hopper to avoid the DOJ.
Oh god. Oh, what a bad dad.
I hate that voice.
It's so good though.
God no.
Alrighty, well, is there anything else we have left to cover?
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you wanna throw out there at the end?
This is the ending.
Wow.
And it's a bit bittersweet, but we'll continue it on in a part 2, or an episode 2. What do you want to call it?
Where we do this insanely tense game.
Where we try to explain it. Because I have ideas. I'm thinking Aelita is probably going to end up being a sprite early on.
And maybe brought back to life kind of a la Jade sprite.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can't talk about this here though.
I know. The episode has to end.
We've got to end at some point. We can't keep going, sir.
Very well. How about you do the closer?
Alrighty. Well, this has been Bradley. You can find me on the Will at Homestuck Discord.
This is Jett Gray. You can also find me on the Will Homestuck Discord, also on my YouTube channel, making terrible speedruns of Kingdom Hearts games.
Alrighty. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Any closers? Any last minute? Watch Code Lyoko on YouTube, it's free.
Yep, do it. You have no excuse. No excuse at all.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, follow us at WillItHomestuck on Twitter. If you want to support the show, check out our Patreon or Ko-fi, both of which are at WillItHomestuck. Also, don't forget to check out our weekly fanfiction streams at WillItHomestuck on Twitch. You can even join in our community streams on the first Monday of every month. We'd also like to thank our classpecting undergrads, I Think You're Pretty Neat, and Sylph of Breath, as well as our Dreaming Moon scholars, Fleece, Kylo Ren, Starshine, and Shane, for helping out the show on Patreon. If you'd like to get a shout-out on the podcast, access to bonus episodes and outtakes, and more, please visit patreon.com/WillItHomestuck. I'm not sure what episode we're going to be airing next, but there's a chance it could be either Avatar The Last Airbender, Madoka Magica, or the third Infinity Train episode. Whichever is edited and finished next, I guess. Stay tuned!